Hi there. I wanted to share some of my thoughts about this whole Gabbie Hanna situation. I'm very interested in this topic, and I have seen a lot of videos and read a lot of comments, and I just have some thoughts that I feel like I haven't really seen. So I wanted to make a video and share my thoughts. And um, yeah, I'm not a YouTuber, I'm not a commentary person. I've never really made a video before. Um I'm gonna do my best. I'm trying to talk naturally, even though I feel very self-conscious right now. I'm trying to talk naturally, and I'm also trying to like keep looking in the camera and not like because we're just recording on my phone. I don't really have a place to film, and that's why you see all this shit behind me. Sorry. I I um I hope it's not too distracting. So anyway, I just want to start off with this disclaimer that I find Gabbie Hanna to be. I don't know that we would be friends. But I don't think she's a bad person. I could never make that kind of assessment because I don't know her. There's a lot of stuff that we don't see about Gabbie Hanna. There's many aspects of her personality, many hours in her day we don't see, and so none of us knows her. And so really, I'm just commenting on what she chooses to make public. So I don't I never want to say like I don't want to act like I think I know her and then I'm psychoanalyzing her in that way. I'm just sharing my thoughts about what we can see, which is not that much. And I also want to say I think Gabbie Hanna is very talented in some ways. In other ways, I'm not a fan. I think her poetry is very bad. Um, it's lazy. I shouldn't say bad. It's not for me. I find it very lazy and irritating. Um, but I think her music is very catchy. Yesterday, because like I said, I've been watching all these Gabbie Hanna videos. I listened to her song "Call Me Crazy." That song has been stuck in my head all day today. I think it's so catchy. I think people say that she can't sing. She definitely has an unusual voice. Um, I don't personally care for like highly technical singers, so I think she's got. I mean, I think she's cool as hell. I think I think she should keep doing that. She should keep doing art, and if she wants to put a little more effort into her poetry, I think she should keep doing that. I really, truly, I want to say I think she is valuable, and I'm glad that she's an influencer in some ways. Um, because she's really got her own unique perspective. Um, that being said, um, here are my thoughts, having followed this whole recent situation and also some of the drama. That's such a dismissive term, but the events from the past involving Gabbie Hanna as well. Um, Gabbie is a little bit older than me. Um, Not that much, but she is a little older than me. But um, strangely, she reminds me of my younger self in some ways. The primary one being she seems to crave attention. And I don't mean that in an insulting way or shady way, like she's worse of a person for that. I think a lot of times when we crave attention, and this is certainly true of, like I said, of my younger self, and this is kind of why I believe this about Gabbie Hanna. I believe that for a lot of people to have attention is a way to substitute for something else. I believe that if you feel like you either can't get love or you don't deserve the love you get. Deep down, that it might not even be conscious, but subconsciously you believe you don't deserve the love that you get. Or if you can't get the love that you feel that you deserve, attention can be a good substitute. Not a good substitute, an adequate substitute. It'll do. It's not as good as love, but it'll do. And also another substitute that is not as good as love, but will do, is feeling important by inflicting pain on others. So by lashing out and getting a reaction out of somebody, you can feel like you matter. And it's never gonna feel like love. It's never gonna be as satisfying and give you the confidence and feeling of self-worth that love does, but it'll do for some people. And that's what I feel is going on with Gabbie Hanna sometimes. The other thing that I think we're seeing is a weaponizing of, I don't know, I don't want to say weaponizing because that implies that it is a conscious bad faith action that Gabbie is doing actively, but using the terms of self-love and feminism and self-worth for things that it doesn't apply to. And like I was kind of alluding to, I don't think that this is a conscious effort on Gabbie Hanna's part. I think she genuinely believes that she's standing up for herself. And to some extent, if you truly believe that you're the victim, which I can empathize with, I can see why she feels victimized. You can, I think her behavior logically follows. There is a logic, an internal logic. I think it does lack a perspective, but there is an internal logic. And I feel like I'm rambling. I'm really trying my hardest. I like I said, I'm kind of going off the dome and I'm not used to doing this. So I'm doing my best. Anyway, I think so. It's important that we understand that Gabbie Hanna believes that genuinely believes. I don't think that she's a snake and she's like, ooh, how can I manipulate the situation so that nobody can criticize me, because if they do, they'll be criticizing feminism or self-worth or creativity as a form of therapy, but that ultimately is what ends up happening, because she is missing. She is simply going with her feelings, going with her gut, and failing to, I think, to empathize with somebody. If for example, with Rachel Oates, if the roles were reversed and she were in Rachel Oates' position, what it would mean to criticize Gabbie Hanna's poetry. So like, I think what she's missing is Rachel Oates, by criticizing Gabbie Hanna's poetry, is not saying Gabbie Hanna is a bad person, unworthy of love, shouldn't make art, shouldn't express her trauma or her experiences with her mental health and her neurodivergency and all that. All she's saying is, I don't like this and this is why. And I think Gabbie Hanna takes the I don't like this and this is why as a personal attack when it doesn't need to be. And I think she would be able to recognize that if she could empathize with Rachel Oates, put herself in that situation and say, you know, if I were to say, that person's music is not my taste, or their poetry is not my taste, or whatever it is, it doesn't mean that I think they're a bad person or that they aren't worthy of love. I don't think Gabbie Hanna is capable of that. Why that is, I don't know. I have my suspicions, but I feel like it would be arrogant and irresponsible of me to say, just because I don't know Gabbie Hanna. I am not qualified as a psychologist, and I don't know. I just don't think it's appropriate. Anyway, the last thing I wanted to talk about that I don't feel that others are really saying is, in terms of her ideas about art, it seems that Gabbie Hanna believes that art is for artists alone. This is based on a couple of different things, but mainly based on her recent comments about Rachel Oates, saying, you know, she hasn't proven to me that she's an intellectual and she can appreciate art, which, having watched and enjoyed Rachel Oates' video, and this is something that everybody has been saying, she clearly is a very intelligent and insightful person. She's very good at analyzing art, and I think it's an honor that she would not only read your first book, but your second book after she hated the first. I mean, I would consider that an honor, especially because Rachel Oates said she liked some of it. I mean, that would be like the highest praise to me, because she clearly is a very, very, very insightful and intelligent. She's really definitely doing the right thing with her life in analyzing poetry and literature. In any case, Gabbie Hanna seems to believe that art is just for people that are artists. They create things. You know, this is like in her tweets and also in her Instagram story. I think she was saying, I you know, Rachel Oates doesn't create anything. She seems very scornful of gossip channels and tea channels and commentary channels, kind of all the same thing. She seems, and basically the thesis of all of this is that if you don't make art and you're not displaying certain, I don't know, markers of intelligence and intellectualism or whatever that Gabbie Hanna has in her head, whatever those are, then the art is not for you and your opinion doesn't matter. And I just couldn't disagree more. Art is for everybody. What's the point of it if it's not for everybody? I mean, truly, why would you make art if you felt like people aren't gonna appreciate it? Like regular people, not other artists. It's just something to think about. Like, what could she possibly mean by writing this book? In my opinion, I think that she wrote this book for money and also because she believes that art is a way of blowing off steam, of expressing yourself. And it really doesn't matter about communicating to other people, comforting other people, describing a unique experience, creating more empathy, all of which I believe art is for. I think if you're not doing those things, you know, if you're not communicating with other people, I don't believe it's art. I believe it's journal entry. And that's how these poems that she wrote strike me as journal entries. And so I just find that really interesting. I find it thought provoking because it's a way to understand, I think, Gabbie Hanna. And it also makes you think about, like, you know, what other what other pieces of art do I consume, and why do I consider them art? And I think another data point in this that is really interesting is that it seems to me that with the level of, I hate to say it, but the level of delusion and inability to see how anybody could dislike her poetry if they, you know, anybody who, you know, she's dismissing all these people because they're neurotypical. I'm not neurotypical, by the way. I'm not particularly inclined to disclose my you know, my disorders and my, you know, mental health issues and all that, but I'm not neurotypical, and I find her poetry very lazy. And the fact that she can't conceive of criticism outside of, oh, you just don't get it, that level of delusion and self-deception, I think, comes from the fact that she does not read poetry. She doesn't care about poetry. I think she has maybe read one poem, 1 to 5 in her whole life. And it seems like she got the, you know, she read these 1 to 5 poems, and maybe they were all from the same person. I'm suspecting it's Rupi Kaur. And she said to herself, well, I know how to write a poem now. It's just saying whatever comes to your mind. And you don't have to edit it. You don't have to have any structure. You don't have to be deliberate about anything. You don't have to edit it. I think I said that already. You just say what you're thinking, and nobody can tell you that's wrong. And you know, I think that shows a lack of appreciation of art, a lack of thought and an introspection about what her art is for, what art speaks to her, and why she's drawn to making art. Because she doesn't consume it, because it doesn't speak to her. So she doesn't understand that she needs to have her art speak to other people who aren't artists. Does that make sense? I hope so. I feel like I've rambled. I don't know how much sense all of this made. I just feel like I wanted to get it off my chest, I guess, and I hope I hope it added something to the conversation. So anyway, I'm gonna post this now and see what happens, and I hope you all enjoy your day wherever you are, and be well. Be safe.